How are y'all doing? It's me, Gaboon, and guess what? I brought the jacket back. I know it's been a while since anybody's seen it, but I brought it back. So after 22 whole years of development hell, the game, hopefully I'm saying this right, Kine has been released, or at least I think it has been released. I don't know. I saw this article and I want to talk about it because I remember first hearing about it from a Did You Know Gaming video. I was like, oh, this looks fun, and then I never heard about it again after that. But that was the first time I heard about it, and I wanted to cover it because I saw them like I know that game. So yeah, I'm just gonna get right into it. So on to the article. So the article that I'm getting this from comes from Kotaku, and it's titled "How Game Developed for 22 Years is Finally Out." Kine, once again, hope I'm saying that right, is one of the longest delayed video games in history, is finally out on Nintendo's old handheld console. So I kind of already know that it comes out on the Game Boy Advance, which is kind of weird. They could have like just brought the same game over, but had to put on like a Switch cartridge, for example. Um, they'll probably, since it's going to be on the Game Boy Advance, they'll probably just add it to the Switch Online, which will still be kind of. I feel like that would maybe be an easier solution because it's just like, oh well, you already just have what it was on the Game Boy Advance, so you just emulate it. Granted, Switch Online is not the best experience, but overall, I'm like, it does what it's supposed to do. I still play on there sometimes, but I definitely am like, once I have what I need to have better emulators, I'm going to emulate them through the better emulators than what the Switch has. Unless they ever improve them. If they improve them to where it's like that good quality, then hey, I'll live with doing it on Switch Online. I just don't want to pay $50 a year. Well, $50 a year is not that crazy. Like if it was like $100 a year, I'd be like, okay, I don't want to do that. But like $50 a year, I mean, it's still a lot of money to pay up front. But like for a year, I'm like, I could manage that. Um, but I mean, if I'm gonna pay $50, I want it to be at least great. It's good, it's decent and whatnot, but like I want it to be great. Anyways, back to the article though. In 2002, a group of friends in Italy started developing an action platform with RPG elements for Nintendo's Game Boy Advance handheld. Then 22 years passed, and now, in 2024, the year, bro, Kine is finally launching on GBA, ending one of the longest delays in video game history. Wow, that's actually crazy to think about. I mean, I already said that at the beginning of the video that it is, but like, still, it's just kind of crazy to think about that it was 22 years. Like, is there any other game that like lasted that long besides maybe Cyberpunk? I know Cyberpunk was like has been delayed since like the Stone Age, bro. Like, mm, it went on for way too long with its development, and then it was still a buggy mess when it came out. But it's gotten better over time. The bugs kind of were just funny though, so it's not like something that ruined the game from what I saw. So yeah, over the decades there have been numerous games with protracted development cycles and delayed releases. One of the most famous is Duke Nukem Forever, which was first announced in 1997. Wow, really? But didn't end up shipping until 2011, nearly 15 years later. But Kine took even longer to finally arrive. That's crazy. I never played any Duke Nukem game. I know that it's kind of Doom esque, but very vulgar. Which honestly, hey, but also Duke Nukem voiced Big the Cat in Sonic Adventure, so that was another reason I really wanted to play Duke Nukem. It's just to hear the contrast between Froggy and I actually don't know what line that Duke Nukem says, so I kind of can't quote it or anything. Sorry about that. I didn't play Duke Nukem. I didn't grow up with him at all. As reported by The Guardian, okay, they're shouting out, okay, and Patricia, I was about to say Patrica. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't look like Patrica. It's because it's not. Patricia Hernandez, former EIC of Kotaku, Kine was developed by a small group of friends in Italy back in 2002. None of them had experience making games, but for the next 2 years, the pals worked extremely hard to develop Kine, taking very few breaks and crunching a lot. Oh, I was like reading that. I was like, wait a minute, is that where that ends? My brain was like, is that where that period is supposed to be? I guess so, huh? After a few years of development, the game was finished and ready to be published. However, the high cost of shipping the game on Game Boy carts and the risk that Kine might not be successful led to no publisher wanting to release the game. That's wow, really? I mean, I saw some of the footage of the game. Cause like I said, I saw the a Did You Know gaming video. The game looked promising. It looked like it'd be a fun game to play. It was kind of like platformer as I mean, you already said in the article, but platformer esque with a little bit of like RPG elements. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like it would have been something fun to play. But I guess like the time whenever it was coming out, a little bit more of like something kind of would they really be experimental? I don't know. But maybe at that time it was much more like a little safer trying to be. But nowadays they're kind of like I mean whatever I guess. Um, I don't know. I don't know how game development was back then, so I can't like speak on it. I just have to like give observations, I guess. So that would be what I would kind of say. It's kind of like with Xenoblade on the Wii. They were like originally they were like Westerners would probably not like these three games, which were like Xeno for Project Rainfall, which is Xenoblade, Pandora's Tower, and The Last Story. And they came out and they were like hugely successful. So it's like it kind of could have been the same kind of case where now we're actually gonna get it released in general, not just not outside of Japan, just released, and then maybe it'll actually be a super successful game. You never know. So I'd like to see how that goes. Eventually, only one member of the original development team remained: game designer Fabio Belsanti. I was struggling with that name for a second. Oh man. Despite believing in the unpublished game, he moved on with his life, founded a new development company, and began creating educational games for kids and teens. Oh man. I'm not even gonna lie. Those are, as somebody that's now 19 and going on to college very soon, I don't know if I'd be too into the educational games in my current state. I mean, maybe though, maybe they were different. Maybe they were actually fun, but I don't know. So I'm glad we're getting this game. Through it all, though, Belsanti never gave up hope for Kine. When he noticed recently that retro games and consoles were popular again, he decided to return to Kine and give it another chance. That is cool, because that's the thing. Like, I actually wanted to get a Game Boy Advance because I'm just like, I just want to be able to have it there, be able to. Because I played it whenever I was on a school bus back when there was a kid that was on our bus. He had a Game Boy Advance. He's like, "You want to play on this?" I was like, "Sure." It was the Game Boy Advance port of Super Mario Bros. 3. I was killing it on Mario Bros. 3. I was so good, bro. He was struggling with the Angry Sun. I beat that Angry Sun. I was killer in Mario 3. Um, See, I actually wanted to get one as well because I'm like, it would just be nice just to have a piece of hardware like that. Just it would be kind of nostalgic now because like I had Game Boy Advance games, but I had the Nintendo DS, so I would slide them in there. Like there was a Mickey Mouse game I had on the DS, so it would just be cool to be able to have this the Game Boy Advance itself. And yeah, so if it can put on there, maybe I can actually. Oh, excuse me, I don't know where that came from. Um, but maybe I could just get the actual game on there, and then if it ever gets put on the Switch, I could be like, ha, no. So yeah, that's actually that's cool that he decided to they I'm gonna say they because I let's not I don't want to misgender. I don't want to be offensive, bro. I actually don't. I respect everybody. I believe we are in a oh this is a quote by the way. I believe we are in a phase similar to the revival of vinyl or cassettes for music. Belsanti told The Guardian, a return to previous, more primitive forms of the medium, driven by nostalgia from the generations who lived those eras, and curiosity by those who came after such technology. That was the thing, like, I saw somebody with, like, a Game Boy Advance, they had Pokemon Emerald, I'll assume it was, because how popular Emerald is, and it just had type shit on there, and it's just like, dang, I want to have that. I want to be able to post something like that if I wanted to. So it is actually kind of like somebody that grew up with it. They're not like too much older than me. They're like what 25 maybe. So I mean they would have grown up with a Game Boy Advance, and I kind of didn't. But I was kind of like I kind of want to have that hardware as I already said. So it's like it's just that is kind of something for me as well. And vinyls, it's just like cool to see people that have vinyls. It's like, huh, they just kind of have them there because they're limited nowadays. So, oh, excuse me. That's another thing with that as well. But it's like it is kind of like that as they say. Just the Nostalgia Factory. I didn't even grow up with one, but I'm still like, man, Game Boy Advance though. So it's like, yeah, man, that's cool. Belsalti teamed up with Incube 8, a publisher focused on releasing and supporting new games for classic consoles like the GBA. Incube 8 was a perfect fit for Kine, and in June it finally launched, 22 years after development started on the action platformer. On a romantic level, the thought of releasing the game on its original console is simply magical, said Belsanti. To see Kine come to life on the very platform it was designed for is a dream come true. Kine is out now. You can pick up physical versions of the game for Game Boy Advance or buy a digital version that you can play on an emulator. Wow. So that's actually cool. And yeah, that is cool that he didn't, because like, for example, Mother 3 was originally for the N64 disk drive and then eventually moved to the N64. Because the team was inexperienced with 3D game design, they just moved it over to the Game Boy Advance. It was kind of the same game from what I know. It's just 2D and honestly just looked more appealing, or at least to me it did. I'm not gonna lie, it looked more appealing to me. So like, I don't know, that is cool that they actually were able to put it on the hardware it was designed for, and it is because of stuff like the nostalgia factor. So yeah, I commend that. I give that respect. So anyway, I'm definitely gonna be picking this game up somehow or another. If it ever comes to the Switch and I don't have it yet, I'll just be like, okay, I guess I'll just play through that. But I actually do want to play through the actual hardware since it is a magical experience for Belsanti as well. So I kind of want to experience it just because he enjoys it being on the Game Boy Advance that much. So I'm picking it up. Hopefully you will too. I think that's what Incube 8 is. So yeah, I'm going to be picking that up and hopefully enjoy the game. And yeah, I don't know that. I don't really have too much to say anymore. That's about it. But of course, as always, I hope y'all have a damn good one and take care of yourselves.